videos on YouTube to help you. The first thing we're doing today is Mr. Sopa, and there is a handout which is also going to go on the wall here. We have decided that this is our resuscitation bay, and we must always have a bag, a mask, oxygen tubing, in fact 2 masks, ready to go at this bay in case one of the other babies desaturates or someone runs through the door with a sick baby. This bay must always be ready. This doesn't need to be turned on, it doesn't need to have water in. We can run for a few minutes without water, but we need to be able to go from being surprised that someone came through the door to being bagged and masking them within 10 to 20 seconds. Okay, Mr. Sopa is about what happens if you're bagging a baby and the chest isn't rising. Remember, whenever you bag the baby, you have to look and see that the chest is rising. So what we do is we go through this algorithm MRSOPA. The first thing is the mask. Make sure you've got the right size mask, which goes over the nose and over the chin, but isn't covering the whole eye or loose around the chin. Make sure you've got the right size mask. You can see for this baby that's the wrong size mask, it's too small. This is good. It's going over the bridge of the nose and just under the chin. Make sure your mask is in the right position. The reason this chest is not rising is because I have an air leak. If I move my mask a little bit, we get chest rise. If I'm still not getting chest rise, I can ask assistant to come with 2 hands, and you can use both hands even, and great, okay? So that's M, which is the mask. The other thing is R, which is reposition the head, which I do naturally. You want the head a bit like so, okay? We call it a chin lift. And with this model, you can see if I try and bag the baby like that, it doesn't work. If I lift the chin a bit, it works nicely, okay? The proper holding of a mask, I have these 2 fingers like a C, and they're on the top, and they are pushing the mask onto the baby. And then this ring finger is under the chin, and it's pulling the baby into the mask so that the mask and the baby are being pushed together to have an effective kiss. Okay, mask, reposition airway, MR. But what if that is still not working? Then we go into the SO, Mr. Sopa. SO, suctioning. I don't need to tell Zimbabwean nurses how to suction a baby. This is your moment, suction, okay? And O, open the mouth. It's hard with this guy, but with the tiny little ones, we're assuming we can ventilate them through the nose, but it's possible that their nose is filled with snot, or they have choanal atresia or some other problem. So actually, if you open the mouth with your chin lift, you might get chest rise. Let's say that's not working. You've done the mask, you've repositioned the chin, you've done your suctioning, you've opened the mouth, it's still not working. Now it's time for P and A. P is pressure. With the neopuff, which we don't have today, you can gradually turn your pressure up to a maximum of 40. With these bags, they have a pop-off valve at 30. You can very cautiously override the pop-off valve and see if a bit more pressure helps. Remember, the more pressure you put in, the more chance you have of a pneumothorax or a pneumocranium. MRSOP, the last one is A, alternate airway. This isn't working. Either we need to put an endotracheal tube in, another option is a laryngeal mask. I'll share a video about how to put a laryngeal mask in, but you deflate it, and then it just follows the curve until he stops. You inflate it with the amount that it says here. This is a 1.5, so you get 7 mils, and then you bag like an ETT. That's Mr. Sopa. Okay, the other thing we learned today is what do we do if a baby desaturates on the vent. All these pages are available in our protocol folder, and we learned about the DOPE acronym, which is your tube might be displaced, it might be obstructed, the baby might have a pneumothorax, or you might have equipment failure. And our algorithm for desaturating on the vent, I'm sure you're familiar with. The first thing you do is you take them off the vent and you try bag masking them. When you bag mask them, you want to check two things. Is the chest rising? And are the sats going up? If your chest is not rising, there's a problem. Okay? Suction down the tube. And when you suction, see if you can feel the blockage. Is your tube going down? And see what you suck out. If you are bag masking and you've suctioned and you're not getting chest rise, there's a problem. You need to take your tube out. Don't be shy to. You will save the baby's life. So ETT comes out and we start bag masking the baby. Now, if we're doing this and the chest is still not rising, we go into Mr. Sopa. Mask, reposition, suction, open airway, pressure, alternate airway. We're still doing this and we're not getting chest rise. We need to think of a pneumothorax. I want to show you this piece of equipment. This is our cold light. It's kept in the storeroom, but you can send for it. Send for the cold light, sister! And someone goes, what? Anyway, I hope everyone will know what the cold light is. This bit goes in there, switch it on, and light comes out. If light doesn't come out, which is what happened to me earlier on, and I couldn't work out what the problem was, it was because it was on channel 2 and not channel 1. Okay, now that's on channel 1, and I won't bother the baby again, but basically that light just goes on the skin. I'll share you a YouTube video that shows you what a pneumothorax looks like with a cold light. If there is a pneumothorax, this is a separate lesson, we're not doing that today, but a needle goes in the second intercostal space, mid-clavicular line. Okay, we're almost finished. That's what we do when a baby is desaturating and is properly urgently sick. If there's time to not rush immediately into that algorithm, a very clever thing you can do is look at the vent, because that can give you a good idea of what is going on. Okay. So we go here to graph, and we've got we can either look at the pressure or we can look at the flow. Okay? Now, let's say I obstruct my tube. So, okay, tube is obstructed by a meconium plug or something. The vent picks it up immediately, and the vent knows it's a tube obstruction because the pressure is still fine. He's still giving the pressure, but there is no flow. Okay, so pressure's fine, no flow. This is all in this table that's telling you tube's obstructed. Okay, another option is that there's a disconnect, or this is the same as your ETT has come out and is in the pharynx. Here, we're struggling to get any pressure, but what's important is we only have forward flow, okay? The flow is constantly forward. The baby is never breathing back. Let me show you what's normal. Okay, this is normal, and here we have forward flow, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation. Your tube comes out and is in the pharynx or something, just forward flow, okay? Then there are other permutations and combinations which you can look, which aren't quite so dramatic here for a pneumothorax and equipment failure. That's our lesson for today. Thank you.